Are you ready for a cavalcade of perversions? Oh my God, you guys, before we get into Pink Flamingos, we have to talk about the movie that came before it. Now, this is one of the very first art films John Waters released. I'm, of course, talking about Multiple Maniacs. Now, this movie was in cinema jail for years. Like, it was not really releasable. It was unreleasable, in fact, like many of his early works, because it contained a lot of third-party music that he did not license. And he couldn't afford to license it, so he just never bothered with it. It just became lost cinema. And it wasn't until 2016 the Criterion bought a print of it and decided to go through and painstakingly restore the film, as well as get the music licensing for said film. Now, Multiple Maniacs was the very first John Waters release on the Criterion Collection, and honestly, kind of kicked off a movement with John Waters and him being viewed as a film director, if you ask me. I feel like this movie coming out from the Criterion Collection really changed a lot of people's minds when it came to John Waters. Because growing up, he was one of those directors that was oft respected with, my kind of community, like the gay community, and people who are punk and whatnot, like the outsiders. We really appreciate his art. But mainstream was still kind of trepidatious. Like, they like the safe options, your Hairsprays, your Serial Moms, your Crybabies. But they were not ready for the real dirt and the real grit, the real sandpapery crust that is early John Waters' works.
You, my dear, are dead.
And Multiple Maniacs does not pull any punches. This film is fucked up. Like, watching it, it's one of his early works. You can tell it's early because it's kind of barely a film. It's one of his first that has like a true narrative to it, but the narrative is very, very loose. It's essentially a lot of scenes put together. And what I think is so kind of cool about this is like it's such outsider art and so much like guerrilla filmmaking that he literally filmed this in his parents' front yard. Like, his childhood home, his parents, he said, were in the front room, like, looking out in fear as they set up this tent and filmed this movie. Now, the premise is very, very simple. Lady Divine is a criminal who runs the cavalcade of perversions, where you can go in and see any kind of sick sight you can imagine, people shooting up, real gay men making out, people's curious sexual perversion. There's a scene of a girl licking a bicycle seat, which, I guess that's fine. You can't get pregnant from that, so that's okay. No STDs be found there. Just, you might get a cold. As well as the puke eater, a guy that will throw up in a bucket and then eat it, which is cream corn. Don't worry, it's not real puke. We didn't get to the real stuff till the next movie. But this is Divine's cavalcade of perversion. She's a traveling freak show, and she is its ringleader. She is a overweight criminal who dresses in a dress that has a very, very saggy boobs. She is a criminal crossdresser with very, very saggy breasts. Yes, I don't think she's like really a crossdresser. It's never really like addressed. I think she's supposed to be a woman. Like, Lady Divine is just a bad gal. She's a bad woman. But I don't think Divine's playing a drag queen in this though. And her first shot in this is kind of everything. It is a young Divine, fully butt-ass naked, wearing nothing but a wig and some full-on, like, drag Elizabeth Taylor makeup, like a punk Elizabeth Taylor. She looks so cute in this movie, I'm not gonna lie. Like, she looks like Elizabeth Taylor. It's like Suddenly Last Summer if she went on an eating binge. Like, Suddenly Last Summer, I ate the world. But Divine plays Lady Divine, and we also have David Lockery as Mr. David.
This isn't any cheap X-rated movie or any fifth-rate porno play.
Who is essentially like the caller, the crier of this place. He's out here bringing people in, and he is kind of a ringleader at first. Like, he's a host of this show and showing all these straight suburban people these deviant lifestyles. And they're like a lot of in-jokes that don't really work today. Like, they're selling like $1 hamburgers, which I guess would like equivalent of like $30 nowadays. But like, it was supposed to be like a joke of like, these people are so out there and so outrageous. Like, they're charging $18 for a hamburger. It's such wild stuff. Like, he always worked a lot with like snobbery in reverse, which I kind of love. Like, being a snob, but in reverse. Like, you're not allowed to come into this junkyard. Only the most elite can come into this junkyard. I love that. Now, this is all just a ruse because it's a front. Basically, anyone that comes in this tent, they're going to shoot them up with drugs and rob them and then move on to the next town. Like, they're all criminals and they're all low-life scumbags. And Lady Divine is the leader, and she's a bad chick, all right? Like, and Mr. David has had it up to here with her. Like, he wants to leave her, and he ends up coming across Mary Vivian Pierce, who looks amazing in this. Like, she kind of looks like Maggie Gyllenhaal as the bride, Like you look at her, like it's kind of giving, right? Like a demented Jean Harlow. Like she's got this fright blonde hair and full Jean Harlow drag. And Mary Vivian Pierce is John Waters' oldest friend. Like I said before in previous video, they grew up next door to each other. Like she was his best friend growing up and still is his friend to this day. Like I think she lives in like Nicaragua or something. Like she's with some really wild place and she's since left the industry, but she's been in all of John Waters' movies. And she was prominently featured in a lot of these films because you can tell like she was one of his muses and one of his best friends that he trusted to really treat his material with respect and be so earnest with it. And I feel like that's why his movies always work, because intentional camp doesn't work. Like you can't just like say the lines in a heightened fashion and expect it to really come out. Like you have to really believe the material. And all of his actors, he really stressed like you have to say these lines like it is the gospel, as if you're reading Hamlet, you know, like do not throw them away. Like they're written intentionally and they're there for a reason. And watching this film, it takes a bit of adjusting to, because these early John Waters films I like to call like the yell films, like the yelling ones, because it's like long streaming like scenes of dialogue. And the reason why this one's the worst when it comes to that, by the way, the reason why he did that is because it was actually shot on old newsreel cameras. So in order to do this, if you made a cut, it was very obvious and would show in the final result. So he had to have really long stretches of dialogue because he couldn't do that many cuts or fuck the whole film up. So that's why the actors really had to be on their shit. You couldn't make a mistake. Otherwise, they had to redo it. And the film wasn't cheap. Like back then, it's not like digital where you could just press and hope for the best. You could do as many takes as you want. Like this one, you were really limited. And if you ran out, you fucking ran out. You have to go and like specially order a lot of this film. So it would put you back weeks if you couldn't get it on film. Now, this film's credits will kind of bum you out if you really are a John Waters fan, because almost everyone in it's gone. Like none of them are really with us anymore. David Lochary passed away. This is Edith Massey's very first appearance and she's no longer with us. And she's literally playing herself in her actual job. Like she worked at this dive bar that they all hung out in and she was like the barmaid. She worked there and like everyone loved her. And like, I believe it was like David Lochary who like brought her to John Waters and said, you have to see this woman. Like she's missing all these teeth. She's got this really high voice and this like unironic big bouffant hairstyle. Like she looks like a demented Ronnie Spector and I am obsessed with her. And you're going to be obsessed with her. Like she's really, really cute in this. She's got a very small role, but she definitely, you can see there's potential. You can see she's going to be in a lot more films after this. We also get introduced to Cookie Muller, who plays Divine's adopted daughter, which is kind of strange. When you watch Pink Flamingos, like a lot of these roles are kind of flip-flopped in reverse. Like I always question whether or not these films are connected because Divine's in it and they mention a lot of her adventures in this movie in Pink Flamingos. So I'm kind of curious, but it's one of those things where you can't really stress too much about it because a lot of these like kind of fall to the wayside when it comes to telling the broader story. Because David Lochary is in Pink Flamingos playing a different character, as is Cookie and Mary and Vivian Pierce and everybody else. Like they're all playing different characters. The only one that kind of seems to be the same person is Divine. And maybe it's a multiverse that I'm not aware of, you know, the multiverse of John Waters, the Pink Flamingos verse, honestly, but like the Trashiverse. But yeah, I think you're really going to like this one. This one takes a bit of getting used to. Like I said, it's early John Waters, but it's available now in the Criterion Collection. You can watch on the Criterion channel. They also have a special version of it with just his commentary, which I highly recommend. You're going to learn some really interesting stuff. And this one, like I said, it's all visual. There's not a whole lot of story. It's more like lots of shocking visuals put into this movie to really make you gasp on, like, what the fuck is that about? There's a whole, like, long, drawn-out recreation of the signs of the cross while Divine and Mink Stoll are, like, having lesbian sex in a church. It's crazy. Like, watching this film, you're like, how did he manage to film this in a church? Doing what he called the rosary job, which again, just draw your own conclusions as to what that is. This is a wild collection of scenes. It's definitely gonna leave an impression on you. It's shot in black and white and definitely really, really works. And if you're curious to see what it was like back then, like a lot of these scenes are filmed in John Waters' actual apartment. Like anywhere you see Lady Divine, like at her meeting grounds, that's John Waters' apartment. Like all that art in the walls are just his posters. And apparently he lived above a plumbing school, which imagine what that was like David Lochary and Divine in full drag just coming up and down because you had to walk through the school in order to get to his apartment. So you'd only imagine what those students were thinking as they're like studying to become plumbers. And like I said before, this film was lost for decades because John Waters couldn't afford the music in any of it. As would go for a lot of his early films, like they're never going to be seen because, well, he can't afford to release them. They were showing a lot of these in the Academy Museum. If you went to the John Waters exhibit, you actually could sit down and watch a lot of early films like Eat Your Makeup and Mondo Trasho and all these amazing films. They're available then very briefly. It's no longer there now, but if you got a chance to see it, you were lucky. Well, it's probably the only time you'll ever see them. Thankfully, we have Multiple Maniacs. The print is actually really gorgeous. Like the restoration the Criterion did with this was like with the utmost respect. And what I like about this and why I want to start into this before we go into Pink Flamingos is I feel like you do have to kind of have the knowledge of this movie before you watch Pink Flamingos. It'll set you up and prime you for what a wild ride that film is. I feel like Criterion really truly did change the trajectory of John Waters as a filmmaker when it comes to like people talking about him with respect. Because a lot of times people would like dismiss him and besmirch his legacy as if he wasn't a visual artist. It wasn't somebody to be taken seriously in the land of cinema who made lots of money, by the way. Like his films made a lot of money and had garnered a very devoted fan base and inspired so many other artists. Like, there would be no But I'm a Cheerleader without John Waters, okay? Like, there are so many movies that have him to thank. And, like, the idea that shock could actually bring people in and also be taken seriously as art. Like, it's not just shock for the sake of shock. Like, there's a purpose behind all the shocking events that happens in these movies. And Multiple Maniacs is no different. No, I don't want to give too much away because, again, it's all visuals. I can't give everything to you, but let me just guarantee you, I only scratched the surface of some of the stuff you're going to see in this movie. Definitely check out Multiple Maniacs. You'll see a lot of early Divine. All of John Waters' friends are in this movie. Like, it's just literally a movie he made with all his friends. Like everyone came together and pitched in and just wanted to make this happen for him. It was the first time he had like a real budget. He got a loan from his father and paid him back with interest, which his father did not expect. It was also this movie that his father gave him the seed money. After the brief success of this movie, his father would give him more seed money to make Pink Flamingos because he would drop out of college and take the rest of the money to make a movie and make the gamble on that, which definitely paid off. But we'll get into that very soon. Our next one is Pink Flamingos. Stay tuned. I think you're going to like it. Okay, I think you just got to give it a chance, but definitely give Multiple Maniacs a chance. It is an art film, so approach it that way. It's not going to be the most conventional experience, but it definitely has some very interesting stuff in it. It's a very good like gaze into like the demented thinking of the 1960s. Like they're making these crude jokes even back then. If I had to compare it to anything, it's sort of like a scary movie kind of vibe, like those kind of jokes. It's like very shock humor. But check out Multiple Maniacs. It is available on the Criterion channel. You're not going to be disappointed. Until next time, let me know what you guys think about this. Was this movie for you or was it not? Again, it's one of those movies where I'm not going to blame you if you don't like it, okay? It's not for everybody. I'm not going to hold it against you, all right? It takes some getting used to, or some people are born with it. Some people just do not have the tolerance for this kind of thing. Either way, let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this film, please let me know some of your favorite moments from it. I'm dying to hear them. And until next time, I'll see you in the next one, okay? Bye!
I am the
Well, it's over now. Click my next YouTube video. Like, comment, and subscribe.